this guitar has to be set up for the trade show this weekend. I shouldn't call it a trade show, but it's kind of a trade show.
Oh.
We're going to just Stormville. It's the biggest flea market in New York. It happens 5 times a year. And we won't be selling these guitars, but we will allow people to come by and pick them up and play them. So I have to make sure that they're all set up right.
Right.
So we're going to show you what EJ got a hold of this bag. That's why there's a half a bag left. So I'm going to show you how these come from the factory. You get a better idea that way of what we have to go through in order to set up your guitar. And this is not a pro setup by any means. It's just going to be just straight up knock them out of the park. The first thing that we do to make sure the guitar works. Can you turn that amp on, RJ?
Sure. You are on.
Alright, so we're good there. The action's real high on that one, so I'm going to venture to guess that the neck relief is pretty easy to get out. Got some backbone in it. We're going to see how far out we are. And this is every guitar. So this is sitting at about 6 thousandths over. So you're going to have some back bow in this guitar, and it's a simple fix. Again, this is just what we go through with every single guitar that comes in. I know that this guitar is not tuned up, and so I know where I have to be at. We'll be about 3 thousandths over. Just a couple of changes. And when we tighten the strings up, right on the money. So we're still over, but yeah. So now we're at 2 thousandths over here with my little handy trusty gauge. It's going to be 2 thousandths to the right, which is going to mean as soon as I tighten these strings up, everything will be fine on the guitar. It'll be flat or about a cent behind. And just so you know, that actually fixed the action on the guitar. So now we're at, this one's
Just that little bit.
right about 175, just a hair over. It's under 2, above 175, so that's not a big deal. But when we tighten it up again, that's going to fix that neck, so we'll be good. Now we're going to just tune it up.
Now with that one, I think you just need to stock some shorty tremolo bars
Yeah, put some beige pickups on there.
and a Gilmore
Covers.
and a Gilmore mod switch.
Just the covers. We opened up the so that tuner's a little tight.
Man, even adjust the tension on the tuning pegs.
And that's not tight now, that's really good.
Stock up on old cell phones. They make great cheap cameras. My whole YouTube channel was started with
So these are new strings and they're just going to have to stretch
cell
out. But before we stretch it out, what we're looking at now is I'm going to look to make sure that everything's tight in the back cavity, right? And the way that I do that is I just tune the guitar up. I can tune it up one step. F. B. And I want to make sure that this bridge is not coming off
Right, so
the top of the neck. So I know that we're flush here, that I don't have a bunch of loose
Right.
springs
So you
in the
tune-
bottom. And this
Right.
comes from the factory like this. And this is part of the
Right.
the prerequisites that we have when these guitars come in, that that we don't have to take the back plates off and tighten everything up and stretch everything
Right.
out and all the other
So what you
stuff.
do is you tune the whole guitar up to F.
Exactly.
To check,
Just to
give it
check
extra tension to see if it's pulling up.
if it's pulling the bridge up or down, and it's
Right.
not. So this bridge is locked down pretty good, and that's what we want for a beginner, because
Right.
beginner guitar players on this guitar is probably about 80% of our clientele.
Sure.
And it makes more sense to do that than it does to have it the other way. These bridges can be floated. If you float this bridge, I suggest that you take these screws and throw them in the trash and get some good screws, right? And you can get some good screws even a Wilkinson bridge has pretty good screws on there.
Right.
And
The ones with the rounded bottom.
You want to take that. You want to kind of Dremel it out a little bit, and just give that above the actual bridge plate. Give it a little bevel and let those seat down. It is the best way to do that if you want like perfect tuning stability. This guitar will hold tune probably a little bit better than a Squier will, and it has nothing to do with the size of the trem block. It has everything to do with the bridge plate and the screws. That's a lot of people have that misconception that a bigger block is going to pull it off.
No,
the bigger block is still springs that run that.
Right. If anything, you're going to get some more sustain out of it.
You get a different tone and sustain out of it, exactly. Blocking the trem will give you a different.
Absolutely.
But when you block the trem, let's say you block it with 3/4 or 4/4, right? 25-cent pieces. You can do that, and you'll get a different tone than if you were to block that with 2 pieces of wood that are cut perfectly too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
metal versus wood.
Exactly. So it's again.
Yeah. So if you're going
on this one here, we went ahead and this cavity right here is actually bigger than the last SPR run.
Okay.
And the reason we did that is because you can now put a push-pull in here. It's a little bit deeper and it's a little bit bigger, and you can get full-size pots in there, and it doesn't matter who the manufacturer of the pots are, because all full-size pots are not the same size. Some are a little bit bigger than others are. So the ones that were a little bit bigger than others required some routing. There will be no routing involved in this particular new body style.
While you're on that, well, quick question: will that extra routing accommodate a Switchcraft style switch?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see how this guitar was set up, and the way that I do that is I look at the saddles, and we'll take a look at the saddles. And again, this came right from the factory, so if you look at those saddles, you can pretty much see that they did a pretty good job on that, right?
Yes, they did.
And then if we look at it, was it even attempted to be intonated? And you can see there again, you've got low, higher, higher, low, higher, higher. So yeah, there was an attempt made to intonate it.
Yeah, it's at least roughed in.
It's exactly. But let's see how roughed in from the factory it actually is, right? We'll put that there for you guys to see. So we're a little bit flat there, right? Well, hang on a second today.
I'm back.
So there we have it, and then there's the harmonic.
Yeah, if I just set it up and record every 10 minutes, it does 10-minute segments. And
we're right there, right on the mic.
I didn't want it to come in a bad moment.
We've got the B coming. That's a little sharp.
Yeah. You know, Torsten, every time I come here, I learn something. I learned that if I want a good guitar, I got to bring it to you or buy it from you.
Smart choice.
Yeah. And you got me wanting the next SBH, and it's not even being built yet.
Let me tell you something. No, they are being built right now. They're going to ship next month.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you stepped up. Yeah. Well, I guess you kind of had to. Things have been going good.
That's a little flat.
All right. Well, I'm going to want one of those too, and I'll do a giveaway for the one that I have.
So that's close enough for government. Again, you're not paying for a pro setup, so we're not using a scrub tuner or anything like that. But
no, this is about taking it out of the box and making sure it's as playable as it is out of the box.
So there we go. There we go. This one's always a little sharp. I don't know why they can't get this right, but
they might have a template that they do these saddles to it, and they just lay it there and it goes. That's
It is what it
good.
is. It's not a big deal, like I said. So I go 7 turns just because usually that's where I'm at. Like this
You've
is
just been doing this long enough.
Exactly. It's not that it's 7 turns. It's that I can look at a guitar, I can tell how much it's out, and
Right.
because I work on the same guitars every day, all day long.
Yeah.
Let's get that up there.
And these are still full thickness bodies, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
1.75.
All right.
Oh, too high. Too low.
That's what I tell everybody watching my videos. No compromises.
And there we go. All right, so we're good there. So intonated, good enough. And that cut really well
And
as it is. Okay, so what we're doing is we're fretting the third. We're looking for very, 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 and when I say little, I mean minimal movement. You really shouldn't be able to see it, but you can see a little bit in this, right? A little tiny bit, which is not unplayable, but it should be cut a little further, and that's what you get with the Pro setup, is that we cut it to where you don't have all that, right?
You get that extra level.
It's not going to affect anything, but if you want it perfect, that costs money, right? And because it takes time. It's not just, fix it.
Right. It's an extra level of refinement to
Exactly,
what's been done.
and you're paying for experience that maybe
This is
you
true.
don't have, or maybe you do have and you just don't want to mess with it.
Right.
The other thing too is, so we're looking at these saddle screws here from the factory, right? So
Right.
we've already discussed that this is within tolerance. Oh, actually, it's not. So this is way out. So we got to go way, way, way down on this one. But let's check the neck and see where we're at first. Okay, so we're right at 1,000s back. 1 to 2,000s is where we like to send these guitars out at. So that's not a big deal. So what we're going to do now is because my hands aren't going to get cut here at all from palm muting.
Right.
They are now. Because I have to get this guitar within tolerance, and within tolerance is right about 175. So we're going to go a turn, 2 turns. 2 turns. Well, that's going to put us right at 175. Right, that's right on the money.
It's almost like you've done this before.
Once or twice, maybe. So now that I've done that, we've done 2 turns, and this is a great little tool to have, and not because it's an Allen wrench, it's because I'm looking at this 1.5. Watch this, 1, 2, right? 1, 2.
So you're just using the markings on it as a guide for the turn.
2. 1, 2. Yeah, this is going to keep it. Well, you'll see that other than the actual height of the saddles, RJ showed you a picture of the saddles before. There's not going to be any difference in these, except for you're going to have some screws sticking out of the top. That if you're a palm muter will affect you. Now, you can get those saddle screws. They're M3 by 6 millimeter saddle screws. And you can install those if you use the wrench that comes with your guitar. It'll take you about a half hour to do that. So whatever your time's worth is what it's worth. That's part of the Pro setup, is that we swap out these screws. Now you can see that these screws are up. But let's look at this bridge. And I haven't looked at it or done anything to it, right? How does that look? Does it still look the same as it did before? Pretty close, right?
Pretty close.
Yeah. Now I'll look at it. That's pretty much on the money. I see this hot E one right here. We're going to put that back in line here. Now it's perfect. And now I can check my string height. 4. 3. And that's why that was off a little bit. Let's go down 11 there. Alright. So now what we're going to do with this guitar is we're going to pack it up and ship it out to you.
There you go.
That's your general setup right there. Obviously, before we go,
Man.
we're looking for neck cracks and things like that, and
Right.
this guitar is fine.
And it's important to mention that people are getting a setup when they order a Tease guitar.
Yeah,
they're
so
not
this guitar,
getting a setup from somebody
no,
else.
I mean, look at this guitar. That's,
Yeah.
that's more than playable action.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I
point-
did skip a step, and I apologize for that.
Right.
Because
One point
I can tell you right now, if I can hear him, and I can hear him,
They're gritty.
and we don't send guitars out with gritty stuff, we just don't do it, man. And it just, you'll see, it just takes me a second to do this. If you were to do it,
Take a little longer, right?
well, you would have to either tape up the fretboard,
Mm-hmm.
or you would have to spend $25 on one of these,
Right.
and then you would have to spend $10 on a couple of these.
Yeah, those come in handy.
So now you're at $35 right out of the gate already on your,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Right.
just to do your frets, right?
Yeah, and that's not even counting the saddle screws, which is
Right, the saddle screws, things like that, and then we condition the front and do all the
Right.
fretboard, do all this.
yeah.
I'm not going to do that on this just because I'm again, I've got a lot of these to do today. And if it were a customer's order, it'd be one thing, but these are just going to the trade show. So I'm just using 400 grit here.
Right.
And then we're going to 600. It doesn't take a lot to polish the crap out of these frets. I'm using quite a bit of force, but now I'm hitting 2 at a time. There you go, 400 or 600, there's 800 coming to you. And this is polishing, the frets are fine.
Right. You're just taking over where they left off.
And I'm assuming that this guitar has no high frets or anything like that, and we do run it through that. 600, 800, 1,000.
No, it's a good looking guitar.
It's 1,500. And that's where it's going to stop on the regular setup, is at 1,500, right?
Right.
So with the 1,500, we'll run it back up. 1,500s on those, we'll run it back up, and we can run it back up off camera. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Pretty good with that little gun, man. Get these pretty close.
Yeah. Well, you've probably done enough setups for your lifetime.
All right, so. Alright, so if there's high frets on it, I'll be honest with you, I don't care. Because most guitars under $1,000 have a couple of high frets on them.
Right. No fret job is perfect.
This guitar at 175 has absolutely no playability issues whatsoever, whether it has high frets or not. And probably gonna find one or two. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Check though, just as I don't check these just because I'll find if there's a high fret on a guitar.
Yeah.
While I'm playing it.
Sure.
We're either getting extremely lucky here or. There's one right there.
At the end of the
And
board.
and then right here, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's at the end of the board.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I can't fret a F chord up here anyway. Though. So again, like I said, not a big deal.
Right.
On a pro setup, had a high fret up here. Okay, you probably want your action at about 1.5 or something like that.
Right.
If it affects the fret playing of the board, we will level the frets for you. Okay, that's just what we do.
Right.
But with that little tiny amount of rock in there, it shouldn't. If you've got action set at 1, which by the way we don't like to do because it almost deems the guitar unplayable.
Yeah.
At 1, you're going to get some fret buzz.
Yeah, it's just going to
You
happen.
won't have dead frets, but you'll get some fret buzz.
Yeah.
If something deems something unplayable, we're going to fix it. We're going to make sure that when it gets out to you, it is 100% playable. And so that's our standard setup. Just so you know, it takes me 22 minutes to do a standard setup on every guitar. That's and I've averaged it out over time. If I'm doing 1 or I'm doing 20, it takes me 22 minutes. That's what
Right.
it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I may slough off or take a phone call or something like that in the middle of one, which will,
Right.
or I might just not have had my coffee yet. Because I'll tell you, man, I start setting up guitars at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes I don't stop until 11 o'clock at night because I want you guys' guitars to ship out the next day.
Yeah.
On Mondays, usually, we have 2 guys that come in, right? And so there's 3 of us in here doing it on a busy weekend. On a not so busy weekend, there's 2, and we knock those out. We don't have dead weekends, so it's always 2 on Mondays. But other than that, man.
Thank God for that, though.
Yeah, so there you have it. There you see it. Guitar's intonated. It's set up. The action's set. There's no dead frets on it. All the tuners were adjusted.
Yeah. And that's a full setup that you would normally get just by buying the guitar.
That's the $179
Nothing extra.
guitar.
Right.
There's no frills in here. Again, saddle screws, this stuff.
Right.
I'll tell you one thing, getting this paper off of them SBH guitars, off of the, off of the control
pickup?
panel, that's no fun. You literally, you have to have one of these, right? You have to have one of these to get those off, or you'll be messing with that for a minute. We adjust the knobs when you pay for a pro setup too on the ST
Right.
ones. Please don't push down your knobs on the SBHs because it'll push the pots right through. And then
Right, yeah, the shaft.
Guitar that's unplayable. You won't be able to hear it.
Yeah, you push the shaft right into the pot.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there you have it, man. ST1 ready to go. This one will be out in Stormville this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Rain or shine, it's going to rain Saturday.
Yeah.
But we'll be there under the tarp, and we'll have amps and guitars and things like that for you guys to come out and play. It's always a blast, so invite you out to do that.
I'd love to come out sometime when you do that.
It's a blast, man. Just if you got an amp too, bring an amp, man. Plug it in and play. That's
Sure.
kind of what other people do. They show up and we just have a good time. And it's a great venue to find a bunch of other stuff, not just Tease guitars there.
Yeah. It sounds like I'll have to make
lot of
arrangements
fun,
to
man.
go
It's
up
a lot
with
of
you
fun.
and do a video up there maybe.
Yeah.
You
You'll see a lot of the people.
Do a live show. We could even do a live up
We
there.
get a lot of people from Facebook that come down just to hang out and just hang out at the booth with us. So
Right.
And we dig on that, And so if you haven't checked out an SPR, the new SPRs, and you want to, and you're in the New York area, it's not upstate. They consider it upstate, but it's not really upstate. Stormville, New York.
Right.
It's right off the Taconic. You can't miss it. Or if you don't like the Taconic, there's another way to get there too.
Right.
So yeah, man, rock on. We'll see you guys next time, man.
Awesome.